I'm Claudia Parra, English Language Program Director at the Pontificia Universidad, Católica Valparaíso, and it is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Gabriel Rshaid. Gabriel Rshaid is the co-founder and director of The Learnerspace, a company dedicated to shaping the future of learning. He is also the co-founder and headmaster of the Global School, the first institution of its kind in Latin America, striving to bring about meaningful educational change. Previously, Gabriel served as the headmaster of St. Andrew's Scots School in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He is a passionate educational futurist who strongly believes that this is the best time in history to be an educator. Gabriel is recognized internationally as a leading expert on artificial intelligence in education. He frequently delivers workshops and keynotes, both online and in person, across the globe, including in the United States, India, Finland, Singapore, Australia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Uruguay, Kenya, Denmark, China, Peru, England, Mexico, Argentina, and Chile. Today, he will be presenting Leading with AI, exploring how generative AI applications have revolutionized the workplace. He will provide a comprehensive review of state-of-the-art AI tools, their application in leadership, and practical examples for enhancing business development. The workshop will cover key topics, including the principles of generative AI, an in-depth look at ChatGPT and GPT+, third-party AI applications, and practical leadership strategies. Please welcome Gabriel Rshaid.
Thank you, Claudia. Welcome, everybody. It's great to be here and as Claudia mentioned, share a little bit of what the generative AI applications can offer. I'm going to share my screen now. And again, it's great to see that there are people from all over the world joining us. So I'll be sharing my screen and pivoting back and forth from different applications that I have. So hopefully this should be quite dynamic. So this is our roadmap for today. In any case, please let me know if you're not seeing my, in this case, my presentation, and later on, we'll share a few other applications. So we're going to go through some of the basics of generative AI, some of the implications, general purpose applications, and then we're going to try to zero in on how to use ChatGPT and some of the other generative AI applications for the leadership role in school processes, including data analysis, and then hopefully we'll have a little bit of time to discuss some of the ethical and social implications. So let me just start by sharing a brief video, which will probably need that I share screen again. Let me just make sure that let me do a new share. Yes, I'm sharing for that. Okay, so I'm going to show you a video that in a way helps us understand the challenges we're facing. So here is a very brief video and an introduction to a relatively new product, that app. The reason why I show this video is that it is starting to become relatively common that some of the newer technologies are invading our perception of the everyday life. Apple Vision Pro is what they call a mixed reality headset that combines our surrounding reality with what is projected on our screen, interpreting our gestures through the camera. This is very significant in that it's probably the first product destined for massive consumption of its type that is being marketed massively. Because of the price tag, it's still not a product that has made significant inroads in the market, but eventually it may. And if you look at the video, and this is no intended criticism to Apple in this case, the whole point of the video is trying to persuade us that this is not an alienating technology, when in reality it is. It is rather unnatural for us to be wearing mixed reality or augmented reality headsets and be interacting with a massive screen that is in front of our eyes, as well as interacting, as the video intends to show us, in this case, the man with his daughter or somebody in an airplane, convincing us that these technologies that intersect our sensorial perception with what is being shown to us real time on TV, on a TV screen, is something that we should embrace. This, of course, poses dire challenges to educators. This is what ultimately matters to us, especially in terms of fostering critical thinking on the part of our students, because for our students, for many, or for 100% of students that are now in our classrooms in K through 12 schools, technology is not technology. It is just context. It is something that they live with, that has existed all their lives, that was there since they were born. And even the newer, more disruptive technological developments like AI may seem seamless to them. And it's for us, the adults, to start thinking critically about it. So, for example, Apple already has a technology called Face ID, which, if it were enabled on this device, would allow people to recognize each other on the street as they were walking with these augmented or mixed reality glasses, thus being able to tell us about a person that we haven't met and give us information on screen before we even shake their hand or make their acquaintance. And this not only has concerns regarding privacy, but also, if that is enabled, and again, this is something that is bound to happen sooner or later, there is again now an intersection between your digital footprint and your real life. And many of us would probably not want for somebody to form a first impression on us based on information that can be supplied by a device, rather than making a person-to-person introduction. When I've done this with students, for example, I ask them whether they think this is a cool device. They say, yeah. Would they buy it? They hesitate, and then I say, if this device only cost $150 or $200, would you buy it? And every hand shoots up, including mine. It would be just cool to have it, even though these technologies are pushing the boundaries of what seem natural. This is even worse when it comes to virtual reality. As you know, Meta, former Facebook, is pushing the metaverse, an alternate level of reality where we will not only have to construct our digital identity, but also be disassociated from our physical aspects. We could exist with a totally different body, physical appearance, and completely new personality. And this, of course, is tremendously disruptive for the shaping up of a strong sense of self and identity in teenagers and children. And this is something that falls on our shoulders, as it usually is. These technological developments don't really focus too much on the ethical and social impact, and it is for us educators to have to deal with that. Same with big data. There are already software that many of you all over the world are probably using that rely on the same principle as Amazon and other e-commerce sellers. By comparing profiles of users, they can provide you with an optimal path for learning. For example, there are some English learning language programs or math programs that rely on a diagnostic testing, and then based on user performance and different user habits, they will tap into their database, compare the user profile with thousands of other profiles that they have, and thus give each user a personalized pathway for learning, because they have, again, hundreds of exercises, so that each person gets an individualized experience, for example, for the learning of English or for the learning of math. And that is ultimately a very beneficial use of big data, because again, it equates the same way that Amazon can tell what we want to buy even without us knowing, by providing an optimal path for learning. But there is a potential dark side about big data, and this is being used in my awareness by some higher education institutions, even in Latin America, whereby the kind of socioeconomic information profile and some habits that can be fed into a system from students can raise yellow or red flags regarding their academic performance, or in the case of universities, the possibility of dropping out. And then they do preventative interventions to do that, which is, again, borderline ethical in terms of what we want to do. It's essential that as educators, we know how this works. We can't afford to make the same mistake as we did with Google. Most people, most students use Google as a kind of black box, whereby they access the search results without even knowing how a search engine works. The power, the consistency, the seeming omniscience of these devices imply that we need to know how they work. So we're going to go into a very brief 3-minute review of how these work before we actually run them in practice. Basically, these artificial intelligence generative AI applications are based on machine learning, a subset of artificial intelligence that focuses, as it says there on the slide, on predictive algorithms. And essentially, these systems are getting better as they are trained. This is a pre-trained system, as we will see. This is on the presentation that we will later share, so we don't need to dwell on that. The Google Teachable Machine is a great site for students to learn about machine learning. It's a very easy way and a fun way for them to use their camera, pre-program their gestures, and learn about the principles of machine learning. very important, this software is based on a learning function. They are reinforced in their successes through learning so that they learn how to learn, literally. And in some cases, they use human reinforcement. So the key factor here is that the way that a system learns, or the way that a ChatGPT or some of these generative AI applications that become so good, has to do with humans designing a learning function that rewards them for adequate learning. So we need to understand that this is not something that happens organically. Again, we have there the chart there. And neural networks are a network of artificial neurons that replicate human intelligence. So far, these systems are modeled on human intelligence with multiple layers that comprise what is called deep learning. So when there are multiple layers of artificial neurons, each of which are interconnected, these layers specialize on a certain task. And because there are literally thousands or tens of thousands of these layers, the system is capable of unbelievable complexity and sophistication, as we have now seen by using ChatGPT. ChatGPT is based on, again, a subsystem of AI known as natural language processing. As the name implies, what it does is it decodes and then recodes in ways that are intelligible our natural language. The predecessors of ChatGPT, one of the main exponents was Watson from IBM, notably beating the Jeopardy champions some 11 or 12 years ago. This, of course, had been totally overcome by some of the latest developments. So basic terms before we go into playing around with some of the applications for leading, learning, and school processes. ChatGPT is a pre-trained transformer. It did not spring out of nothing. This is a program that has been trained for many, many years, created by a company known as OpenAI. It is based on human reinforcement, and very important, this is very, very important for us as educators, the system has been trained on real world data. None of the current players, Google, Microsoft, Anthropic for Claude, or even Meta with Llama, they have not disclosed what data they've trained their systems on, but of course this is real world data. And we need to understand, because this is deep to the ethical implications regarding the development of AI, that somebody, group of experts and people that were designated by the respective companies, have debiased the system. Let me give you a very simple example, and then we'll see a practical example. In the early systems, when the AI systems encountered the word nurse, they presupposed, based on real world data, that when they found the word nurse, it was a woman. And when they found the word engineer, they presupposed, again, based on real world data, that it was a man. That, of course, is not correct. We don't want to generate an AI that replicates, in this case, any gender biases. So they corrected and accounted for, they kind of sanitized the system to account, for example, for gender biases. So this is easy. You make a dictionary. You say, for example, if you find the word nurse, 50% that it's a man, 50% that it's a woman. If you find the word engineer, similarly, and nobody would disagree with that. However, there are some other issues that are perhaps deeper or more difficult to deal with in terms of religions, body language, body image, ethnic issues, etc. And some group of experts may have decided for us what is right and what is wrong, and that can be a little objectionable, not perhaps in terms of whether this is right or wrong or what is going on. Let me check for a second. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let me hide this for a minute. Very good. So let me show you some of the other biases that are not corrected. So for example, this is ChatGPT. I did this yesterday. Let me see, where is this? Compassionate doctor. So for example, if you go to the image generation software for ChatGPT, I asked it to create a Black doctor curing poor sick white children, and it says the image depicts a compassionate scene where Black doctors provide medical care to poor sick white children. Setting is likely in a modest, perhaps rural, under-resourced area, and look at what it does. So if we go, for example, for Leonardo is one of the most advanced of these systems. Let me just show you very quickly. It started. So if I go to image creation, if I do the same with Leonardo, Here it is. Black doctor curing poor sick white children. It can't do it. It cannot do it. It can't create an image of a black doctor curing a sick white children, which again is not intrinsically evil. Nobody's going out to, people in Leonardo are not doing this on purpose. This stems from the fact that some of the real world biases are still being reproduced in some of these systems, and they're almost impossible to completely clean out. So let me go now to ChatGPT, and let's see what ChatGPT can do. So in terms of our applications for our leadership roles for schools, it's really interesting to see what can be done. We're going to work mostly with the paid version of ChatGPT, with the one known as 4.0 Omni. Omni means that it can receive input from various sources, including various files. And we're going to go with some examples that are related to school practice. So I have here some files that I've already created for this purpose. So for example, we have some files here. Let me show an example. This is a document from this is the future of English. So this is a document that I hope you're seeing on screen. Let me know if you're not seeing it, from the British Council on the Future of English Global Perspectives, and it has 365 pages. Let me go to the table of contents. This is the usual stuff that you see in these long academic documents. There you go. And I want to stop at the table of contents for a reason. Here. So here's the table of contents, how they are depicting the future of English, etc., including some round tables. So now I'm going to upload this into ChatGPT. I'm going to go here, upload from computer. Let me just access the correct directory very quickly. Here it is. So here is the document. So this is a 360-something page document. It's uploading it. I'm going to say summarize it in 5 bullet points. So look at how long, and I apologize in advance. I'm going to type fast and maybe inaccurately. So there it is. It already summarized it, and this raises the first issue in our traditional form of learning. If this can summarize and read for us a 360-something page document in a matter of seconds, how do we redefine the need for reading comprehension? How do we redefine the need to interpret long texts like this one? So here it is. And to further prove my point, I'm going to ask it to give me insights on East Asia. Let's say I want insights, so I'm going to ask it for details. Insights on the East Asia Association of Southeast Asians Roundtable. So please give me detailed info on this. So I'm going to ask it for a specific detail from the document. Let's see what it does there. Again, it took just a few seconds to do that. Let's see. So there you go. So there's information. And again, first point that we need to analyze is how do we justify the whole idea of reading, no? And how do we justify that in the context of a modern curriculum, and what is the role and the place for reading long text? Let me show you something else. This is another document that I want to show you. This is a report that I really don't like very much from UNESCO on the future of technology, but that's beyond the point whether I like it or not. I want to show you that this contains some analysis on the future of, or better said, the impact of or lack thereof of education and technology. But I wanted to show you that, for example, it's going to go, let me show you very quickly as we go down. Give me 1 second until we get there. Introduction. There. So this is figure 1.1. It's a figure that is embedded in the document that shows how internet connectivity is highly unequal across countries. Here are the countries, and here are some, interpretations about richest, poorest, and total countries with a graph. So I'm going to upload the document again into ChatGPT now. So let's start a new chat. Every time that we change topics, we need to start a new chat. It's always a good idea for it not to be confused. And I'm going to upload this, and I'm going to say, I don't understand figure 1.1. Please explain it to me. So this is going to hopefully read the document, read the figure, and explain to me how this works. So let's, it's now reading the document. Let me try again. Sometimes it has these things that, especially at this time of the day, it can get a little slow. There you go. While it does that, let me show you something else. Let me open a new window of ChatGPT. And in the meantime, another thing that this can do very well is work with us in terms of translations. So I'm going to just copy a text, some part of the text that I just showed you. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to say, I'm going to copy it. Let's see if it finished this already. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to, I'll do that later. So I said, I don't understand figure 1.1, explain it to me. So there it is. It read the figure. And so I'm going to say now, please convert the, sorry about the typing, to table form. So I'm going to ask it to read this again. This is the image. Look, it's not such a simple, where is it? I lost it. Here it is. Here, not such a simple image. I'm going to ask it to convert it to table form, to extract the data from that image. I'm going to take it a little time. There you go. Now, can you visualize this data graphically? So I want now to for ChatGPT to do a new graph on the same data. And of course, in this case, it grouped it into 4 countries. I can say now, I want you to do it per country. So they created an alternative graph. So again, it not only can read, summarize, and do anything we want with text, but it can also perform analysis and even interpret and help us understand something that may be a little more complicated for us to discern. Let's do something else now. So I've got some files here. Let me pivot back and show you. I've got some files here for an invented school. This is an invented school. Let me close this. Sorry, this I shouldn't have closed. So this is a high school math ad for an invented school, the International School of New York, that doesn't exist. So I've created this ad. We're seeking a candidate, innovative high school math teachers, key responsibilities, qualifications, etc., etc. And I've also created 2 fake CVs. So this is the CV of David Lee. Again, so here's a typical CV of the ones that we get in schools, etc. And the same thing for another candidate, Sarah Johnson. So she's got another candidate. So I'm going to now upload these 3 files into ChatGPT without saying anything. I'm not even going to tell it what I wanted to do, and look at how it's going to directly interpret that it's going to help me select the best candidate for this job and this school. Give me a second until it finishes processing. It did process this one. It didn't process this one. Let me upload this one again. Upload from computer. High school math teacher. And there it is. So without saying anything, here it is. Here's a summary of their suitability for the role. You see? So it compared already, and this can be done, of course, not with 1, but with 20 or 30 resumes, which you can do. And it's going to recommend me. While it recommends that, I'm going to say, please help me, come up with questions for an interview with Sarah. So now Chad is going to come up with specific interviews based on her resume and the job advertisement. So again, of course, as you can imagine, this can be extremely helpful in terms of what we do. And I can now say, I want to know how she can handle an unexpected situation. How can I ask something? How can I ask something to assess that. Etc. Okay, so I'm sure you get the gist of this. It can be an extremely interesting tool for assisting with that. Another process that we usually engage in is admissions at schools. So I've got some files here about admissions. So here are 3 files. School report for an invented student. This student doesn't exist. So there she has her grades, extracurricular activities, etc. And even a report. Then we also have teacher recommendation for this invented student with some challenges. She's not perfect, as we would expect. And we have here her own application, including date of birth, etc. With all of that, I'm going to upload these 3 to ChatGPT now. Sorry, again, starting a new chat. I did. So I'm going to upload from computer. Let me go to the here it is. So here I'm uploading these 3 files. Again, I'm sorry that I'm going through this very fast, but so I'm going to say, please condense all this information in, apologies for my typing, in a detailed summary to assess her admission to the school. And I should probably tell ChatGPT what school I'm in and why I'm doing that and so on and so forth to make it more contextual. No? So there it is. Actively involved, captain of our school soccer team, etc. Conclusion, etc., etc. So I'm going to say summarize this info for the admissions department and create a new .docx file. Sometimes this is not always done well by ChatGPT. And again, if it doesn't do it, we can do it again and we can try. In the meantime, let me show you what the image software can do when they work well. So for example, I'm going to say now, generate an image of, let's say, Santiago de Chile, since this conference is hosted in Chile, when global temperatures rise by 5 degrees, show the effect of climate change. Make sure that we see, for example, let's say Costanera Center and a typical landscape in the city. Let's see what it does while we wait for ChatGPT to do the other stuff. So here it is. So here it created the summary. If I click on that, let's see if it did create the file. Yeah, there it is. So it created a new file, and of course, this is never going to be do for us what we want at first try. We obviously need to fine tune it and do a lot of stuff and go back and forth several times until we get what we desire. Let me start a new chat, and this is okay. For example, this is a good one. Here it shows the effects of global warming, and it did produce quite an accurate depiction of the typical skyline of Santiago. No, in this case, probably not so well because yeah, there is a certain effect here in the park. And here, yeah, it shows the mountains that are a little bit more barren and so on and so forth. This is, of course, a lot. So we can do anything we want here. We can generate anything. And as you see, even though it has its own built-in biases that can be problematic, this works pretty well. Let me go to YouTube for a second and say AI lecture. Let me show you something else. I'm going to go for any AI lecture. There's one here that is an hour long. So
what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one productivity.
I'm not interested in ClickUp for the time being. I'm sorry. Here. So this is the lecture. It's a 1 hour, almost more than an hour. The Alan Turing Institute. So this is GLASP, a free add-in for ChatGPT and YouTube. So there it transcribed the whole thing. Look. There it transcribed the whole lecture, the full 1 hour lecture. And if I click on the ChatGPT icon, it goes directly there and it will summarize it for me. And once it has it there, I can do anything I want. So for example, look at how it summarized the 1 hour lecture. And then I'm going to say, please provide a critique of this lecture. So it not only summarizes it, but it can also elaborate on it. Huh? So while it does that, let me show you what it does. And of course, I can tailor it to my needs. I can say that I wanted to do it in less bullet points, more bullet points, etc. So there it is. Strengths, balanced perspective, insight and future directions. And this brings us again to the point that we might discuss later of, do we actually even need to listen to long lectures and long videos or documentaries? Or can we just do it with these tools that will summarize and synthesize this for us? So there you go. And you can see. Let me show you another tool before we move into data analysis. So this is done. This is an AI voice generator. This is a workshop that I did yesterday, and there were some people who knew Arabic in the audience. So I think we lost. Let me see if I have this. Yeah. So okay. So this is no. We don't want it. We don't want this very long text. Let me go back to the PDF that we had before. So suppose I'm going to just copy this key responsibilities from this fake ad that I created. And I'm going to say now, I'm going to go to ChatGPT and I'm going to say, sorry, please translate this into French. So one of the jobs that are at risk at this point are translators. Now, when we translate, so I did that. Look at how long it takes to translate. We always do translation in ChatGPT in 2 stages, meaning we do the translation first, and then we are going to improve the text. So I'm going to say now, improve this text. It's always a 2-step cycle, and it will probably do it better in the second run. So I'm just going to take the first 3 lines here. I'm going to show you a voice cloner. This is 11 Labs. So in 11 Labs, without even saying what language it is, I'm just copying this. And hopefully this is going to say it in French with my own voice. This is going to clone my voice. So let's see if this does it. Responsabilité principale, concevoir et dispenser des plans de cours dynamiques et stimulants pour les cours de mathématiques du lycée, incluant l'algèbre, la géométrie, la trigonométrie et le calcul. Okay, I wish I spoke French like that. I do speak French, but clearly not like that. So this again brings us as educators into the ethical considerations. This can be done not only with my voice, anybody who I can record, for example, on a WhatsApp message. This was done with 5 1-minute WhatsApp messages that I trained the system on. So I can clone anybody's voice. Let me show you another of the things you can do here with this. This is the dubbing studio. This is very powerful. I have a video of myself. I had to record a short promotional video for a conference, and I'm dubbed into Chinese now. So look at me speaking in Chinese. It's a little cringy.
你好呢，我叫 Gabriel Rshaid，我很高兴邀请大家参加2024年6月6日在蒙德维德雅居星的教育领导者会议。这次呢，考虑到教育。
Okay, I have no idea if I'm saying anything that makes sense, but this was done again in just a matter of minutes. I'm not going to do it now. We could do it live, but this is going to take 1 or 2 minutes to do. But then you can substitute anybody's voice, and you can now, even with this one, with a voiceover studio, you can make them say something else. So again, ethical considerations, the ethical issues regarding the use of these applications. Let me show you now data analysis. So I have here in Excel a file that I downloaded from the Cambridge International website. This file contains results for Cambridge A levels for the years 2020, 2020, and 2019. The way it is structured, we have, for example, in biology, this means that there were 59,000 candidates worldwide, that 13% of them got A star, that 36.8% got either A star or A, and so on and so forth until you get to 100%. Here's 99.7%, and the same for 2019. So it's portrayed cumulatively, not so easy to interpret. So I'm going to upload this file into ChatGPT. Again, the kind of thing that in many of our schools we do, which is have to analyze extensive files that have to do with exam results. So I'm going to go to data here. And here is Cambridge data. So I'm just going to upload it and say, analyze this. It's always a good idea to wait until the system has analyzed the data before we actually ask it to do anything. So let's make sure that it understands. And if not, it may be necessary for us to explain the structure of the way the data is set up in case it isn't very clear. So let's see if it understood it. Still analyzing it. Again, this takes a matter of a few seconds, the information, etc. There you go. Need a specific analysis. So I'm going to say, please calculate averages on a 0 to 100 scale for each subject for both years. So I'm going to ask it now to convert. This entails deconstructing the cumulative percentages that we have there, converting this to the letter grades A, B, etc., to numeric grades, and then trying to find out the percentages. Let's see if it does it. Let's see if it does it. Sometimes it doesn't do it well, and we have to try again. This is part of the deal with ChatGPT. There you go. So there it did calculate the averages. Yes, it did it well. So now I'm going to say, please create a graph with the top 10 and bottom 10 subjects, including the values without decimals, whole numbers. I'm not interested in decimals. Let's see if I can create the graph, which means that it also needs to sort it out. And while it does that, I'm going to say now, analyze which subjects improved the most and the least over the 2 years. Rank them in descending order. So I'm going to ask it to do that while it is thinking. Let's try to correct my spelling so that this poor chat understands what I'm trying to say. In the meantime, let me open up a new window of ChatGPT. So that we can make the most of this. I'm opening up another account. In theory, you can't use 2 accounts at the same time, but this will help us save time and do some other stuff. There it is. So there's the graph, top 10 and bottom 10 subjects by average. And it did include the percentages there. So you see the orange ones are the top 10 and of course I can ask it to change the visualization, etc. So I'm going to say now, analyze which subjects improve the most and the least of the 2 years. And then I'm going to say, create a new .xlx file containing the table with the averages on one tab and another tab with the graph as a full page. So it's going to create a new file now. And again, this sometimes doesn't do it very well. Okay, so there it is, ranked in terms of improvement. And while it does that, I'm going to ask it which years was better and why. So while it does that. And in the meantime, let me show you another. We're going to use this one to explore GPT. So the other thing that I want to show you before we run out of time is the whole notion of custom GPT. So custom GPTs are applications that utilize the language engine of ChatGPT to branch off to specific applications. There are literally thousands of them. So for example, you have here some of them: writing assistant, marketing, research, and competitiveness. OpenAI is ranking them for us, so it's going to tell us how each of them are doing. So these are different applications. Some of them are very good, some of them are not very good. And as you can see, for example, if you click on any of these, it's going to tell us a ranking from 0 to 5. So for example, this is one that interfaces with Canva, and in theory, it allows you to create images by writing on ChatGPT. This one is not very good. I'm going to show you one that is really good called Whimsical Diagrams. So let's search for it. And again, literally, there are thousands of these. It is very interesting to explore. So this has 4.1 out of 5. This is pretty good. So the way this works is I am now going to stay in ChatGPT, and this will interface, in this case, with an application that creates diagrams. So I'm going to say, create a mind map for explaining the benefits of a bilingual education. I can take any topic I want, and it's going to create, in this case, a mind map. Let me go back to the previous one. So there it created the averages. I'm going to ask it which year was better and why, and let's see if it created this new file. Again, sometimes it makes mistakes. If it does, we just need to try again and give it the same instruction. Let's see if it created the file appropriately. Give it a second. Yeah, it didn't. Okay, so there it is. There is the file with the averages. Okay, which probably not very well formatted, but that makes sense. Improvement ranking, again, from 2020 to 2019. And here's the graph. Yeah, it did it. It did it very well. So as you see, again, it never, obviously, you have to fine tune it. You have to, ask it to do whatever it is that you're interested several times. And then I finally asked it, sorry, here's the other ChatGPT. So I asked it which year was better and why. Determine each year for a level exam, we can compare the averages. So look at the distribution. So 2020 was better, score of 81 average as compared to 74 in 2019. So external factors, and look at it, it even said that, for example, there were teacher assessed grades during the pandemic. So it not only analyzed it objectively through comparing the data in there or analyzing objective statistical measures, it can also incorporate its own knowledge, in this case, branching off to consider the impact of the pandemic on these exams. So here is, again, sorry that I'm coming back and forth, but this is allowing us to make the most of our time. It creates a mind map explaining the benefits of bilingual education. So here it is. It uses again, the content that ChatGPT knows to do that. And then it created the mind map here. Now, I may not like it, and I might say, for example, academic cognitive benefits, academic benefits, cultural benefits, economic benefits, social benefits. Okay, yeah, it's hard to find something else, but I could say, for example, include another section on globalization or on technology or anything that I want that is relevant. So the way it works generically is it uses the knowledge of ChatGPT, and in this case, it combines it with a third-party software, in this case, Whimsical. If I go to Whimsical now, once I'm happy with the content, I can now edit the mind map here, for example. So if I want it, which of course is not accurate, to put it in cognitive benefits or to put it there, I can do it, and then I can save it or exit, etc. Most of these custom GPTs work on a freemium postulate, meaning that they give you some services for free, and then you have to pay. For example, if I want to create a high resolution image of this and download it, I have to have a paid account. It's good enough to say, for example, a lower resolution version of this. As I mentioned, again, there are almost an infinite number of these things. You can search for them there. So for example, I can search for travel, and it will give me some of the tools that are available for traveling, travel guide, travel companion. There's one for Expedia, there's one for Kayak. They don't work very well. These work a little better. It's always a good idea to see what their rating is from 0 to 5, from 1 to 5, better said. And anything that is around 4 is pretty good. Let's go now to what I think can be very useful for schools, and that is to create a new chat GPT, a new custom GPT. So if you go to explore GPTs like we did before, well, this can happen. So if I say create, I can now create my own custom GPT, which can be very useful for a school. So I'm going to create now one. I'm going to say now, I want to create a bot that does formative assessment on student work. So on the left side of the screen, I'm going to train the system, and on the right side of the screen, I can test it out. So outline the general behavior, I'm going to say encouraging and give feedback for improvement. This again is going to take, this should take a lot more time than I'm going to give it. I'm going to do it in 5 or 6 minutes. This is a process that can take an hour or 2 hours until you draft it and you have it as you wish, no? So tone, supportive, etc., etc. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes to everything so that we do it. It's asking me how I wanted to call it. So this is feedback friend. Let's create a profile picture. You can put on your own logo, your own picture there. I am going to accept the one that ChatGPT has created, again, for reasons of brevity, so that we can work with it directly without wasting any time. So there it is. I'm going to say yes. Okay. So any subject, I'm going to say any subject because it's asking me whether I wanted to use it for any subject. So I'm going to give it instructions. Start off by asking the user to upload the class assignment. So this is the first instruction that I'm giving it. It's going to update the GPT. It's going to incorporate this behavior. So while it thinks that, I'm going to say, then ask the user whether they want you to create a rubric or if they will supply their own. So now I'm going to say that, and then finally ask the user to upload student work and give personalized feedback. So again, this is going to take quite some time. We need to test it out on the right side of the screen, refine it, change the tone, etc. I'm going to show you the finished product. So, okay, so this is going to do it, feedback for another preview. Instead of trying this out, I'm going to show you the files that I have already. So I have some files here under grading. So this is the assignment. This is an assignment at a school, in this case about human rights, awareness and understanding. There are 10 questions. And then, of course, without including the name of the students, we have 3 samples of student work, all of which are compiled into a single document. So here are answers for the students. Student 1, and here is student 2, and the same with student 3. So instead of testing this out, which is still in a kind of a very draft form, I'm going to show you the finished product. It's called GraderBot, the same thing that we were trying to do, but this is a lot more refined. So I'm going to now attach the file. So note that the system is already trained. It says upload an assignment to start grading. So I'm going to upload from computer in the files that I just showed you, the ones that are related to grading. So here is the assignment. So I'm going to upload the assignment, let it read it. There it is. And now it's going to ask me whether I have a rubric or if the system should create a rubric or not. So I'm going to say create one, sorry. Rubric. Please, again, apologies for my typing. I'm trying to type as fast as I can. So here's a rubric. And of course, I can interact with it until I'm happy with the rubric, which I'm not going to do again for reasons of brevity. You can come back and forth and say, no, I want you to include another item. I wanted to change. For example, here it missed out on number 7. Look, it's fallible. It went from 6 to 8, and it from 8 to 10, and it didn't do that. So again, this is the kind of thing that you can ask it to modify. Again, the system has some failures occasionally, but this works. So I'm going to now upload the assignment, the student work. So I'm going to show you just going to upload the file with the student work, and this should hopefully apply the rubric, correct the assignment, and provide suggestions for each of the students. There you go, detailed feedback. Awareness and understanding, look at how fast it does it. Mention specific things, etc., etc. And of course, you can fine tune it. You can say, now you're being too lenient or you're being too strict. And once you do it and once you train the system, it will work all the time for you. And here's even feedback for each of the students, as you see. Same for student 2, and so on. So this is very interesting. This is, again, very useful. For example, another one that I created is based on, I've done some work with the OECD recently. So we created a kind of expert on the OECD 2030 Learning Compass Guide. This is a series of documents that the OECD has created, mapping out a future for learning. So this learned a lot about it already. I don't need to say anything. So for example, I'm going to say, let's see, for example, compare the learning, so the OECD 2030 compass with the, let's say, IB learner profile. Let's see what comes out of that. So it doesn't know about the IB learner profile, but it does know about the OECD 2030 compass. It's already in there. So it's a kind of expert on all things learning compass. Here you go. So there you go. I fed all these documents and I trained it to become an expert on that. So here it is, and so on and so forth. Okay, let me stop there and go back to the presentation for a final reflection before we finish in 5 minutes. So there it is. As you can see, it's doing it in great detail. So let me go back to the presentation then. All of this will be shared with you. There's all these models, applications for learning. You know, there are all kinds of applications. Let me jump straight to the final discussion. All of this will be available through a website that we've created, including some sites that can help you discern some of the ethical implications. So, as you know, most educators are concerned with whether what we now call academic integrity, you know, the thing that if they use ChatGPT for cheating or not. I would volunteer that that's the least of our concerns. The greatest problem is, how do we prepare students for a world where this will become commonplace? Are we actually enacting different standards for adults and students because we use it to do rubrics, to do lesson planning, and they don't? Actually, I think we don't, because we've already gone through the cognitive learning process, and it's part of our application of higher order thinking skills to get the best out of these systems that can be extremely resourceful to improve what we do. But the greatest challenge is how do we build the cognitive skills that are needed to get to this point, especially if over-reliance at a developmental phase where the cognitive skills are being acquired can hinder the development of those same skills. So this is, of course, the greatest risk. Are we actually training a generation whose over-reliance on ChatGPT and some of these other tools can result in a process whereby you know, they would be detrimental to their learning? And this is how we need to refine these cognitive skills, and how we can work on creative tasks that go beyond the usual assessment, etc. And we mentioned earlier, is reading comprehension at risk? Yes, it is. Yes, it is, because especially in high pressure situations, students will resort to these tools to breeze through and do things quicker and more efficiently than actually reading a text. So it means that we are now charged with kind of the obligation to justify what we're doing. So if we are going to include a long text and it's important for them to read it, decode it, and extract the main ideas, because it is a skill that needs to be acquired, we need to be very explicit, very straightforward in how we do that and how we work with our students to tell them that this is actually very important. There are studies by OECD, ChatGPT is outperforming students, and this is the greatest challenge that we face. So what's next? First stage, using these tools to improve what we're doing, do better projects, better lesson planning, better interdisciplinary projects. Second phase is, how do we review what we do so that it makes sense in a time when, okay, again, is it worth watching this 1 hour documentary when we know that students may put it into ChatGPT and they might just directly summarize it? Is it worth reading the long textbook? And so on and so forth. And the third stage, which is probably the most exciting one, is how do we reshape what we do in order to make use of these tools as a kind of extension of our brains for mathematical simulations, for hypothetical scenarios, for alternate endings, for personalization of learning, for learning languages. Now you can chat. If you use your phone, you can chat directly with ChatGPT in real time, and it will answer back with no lag, and that can be used, for example, for learning language. So it's up to us. I think we need to use it. I don't think that it can be banned. Our students are going to use it nonetheless, whatever we say. And there's great potential not only for processes such as we've seen, but especially in the realm of learning. And again, beyond any discussions, beyond any of the philosophical discussions about whether AI is good for humanity or not, it is the greatest tool for democratization of learning that has ever existed. Anybody with a phone in their pocket and even a free ChatGPT account can learn more, faster, in ways that are more engaging and more personalized than ever before. And that, of course, has to be our North Star as educators. So thank you very much. Let me stop the sharing, and let's see if I don't know if we want to open up to questions. We have, I believe, 4 minutes, right?
We have some questions in the Q&A.
Okay, let me open it up. So let's start bottom to top. How can I install GPT on my laptop? It's an app. So yes, it's a free application both for laptop and cell phones. Yeah, make sure that you use the one that comes from OpenAI. There are many fake applications that do that. How do we assess students' language online? How do I know they don't use GPT for writing assignments? You can't. The tools are so advanced that it's impossible to discern whether they've been done with an online application or not. There's even a humanizer that changes AI generated stuff so that it's unrecognizable. So unfortunately, there is no way to do that. Again, it's just knowing our students, being close to them, and rethinking. It's a long discussion, no? So we have to feed the documents. Yeah, it says, do we have to feed the documents first? Can GPT search the internet, the needed data in parallel? Yes, it can. It's going to take a little bit more time, and it may be contingent on how well the search is formulated. So yes, it can search the data in real time when it doesn't know something, especially actually the paid version can do that. GPT-O can do that. But it's if you're going to use something extensively, like for example, school information or regulations, etc., it's always good to feed it first. Is ChatGPT able to teach us how to complete a task by asking how to do it? Absolutely. Not just to make something for us, but show us steps to help us doing it on our own. Absolutely. It's a personalized, infinitely patient tutor that can help us do anything we want. So that's absolutely. It's something that we can use ChatGPT for, and it can be a personalized tutor. How to go forward? Critical thinking. It's essential. Critical thinking now is a survival skill. It's the kind of skill that is required more and more and more because they need to develop again these kinds of algorithms or better said these antibodies so that they can understand what this is about and become critical users of a technology that will undoubtedly evolve. Finally, how do we prevent when they use project-based learning with students? How do we prevent them from having ready-made answers? Again, it's a process. I think assessment, this is again we don't have enough time to discuss this. Assessment is going to evolve to real-time assessment, to situational assessment, where we go with students perhaps without computers, without cell phones, and resolve a real-life situation in ways that develop more of an intuition than analytical abilities as an evolution of the human race when we rely extensively on these AIs. But we do need to know our students better than ever and involve ourselves in the process. The good news is that through some of these applications, they can save us a lot of time, a lot of time, and that frees us to work with students. So I think we've arrived at the end of the presentation. Thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure, and hope that it's been useful for some tools that you can apply in your respective context. Thank you.